Coming up on the KCRG-TV9 News at 5:30, police are investigating an armed robbery in Iowa City that occurred because of a toy car. A church in Coralville celebrates paying off the mortgage by lighting it on fire.
Live in high definition from your 24-hour news source, you're watching KCRG-TV9 News at 5:30.
Thank you for joining us tonight. Police in Iowa City are looking for a man with a gun after they say tried to rob another man downtown this morning all over a toy car. The incident occurred at the corner of Court and Lynn Streets. Iowa City police say the two men set up a meeting through Craigslist. Sean Nepp says he wanted to sell a remote-controlled car to the suspect. Nepp says haggling then turned into arguing over the price, and that led the man with the gun to hit Nepp over the head. Police say Nepp suffered minor injuries but did not want medical treatment. They also say the suspect left without taking the toy car. Nepp told us he had no idea the buyer would show up with a gun.
I thought he was just a local Iowa City guy. He had a local phone number. He seems like he knows the area, so I know he's from around here. You know, and the police are going to catch him.
Police say the suspect is a white male weighing around 5'4" and weighing about 300 pounds with shaggy brown hair. He was wearing a green shirt, blue jeans, and a tan jacket at the time of the robbery. Investigators say they're still looking for him, but they do not believe him to be a threat to the public. A 28-year-old man is facing 48 years in jail after he robbed a Waterloo house in 2012. DeAndrew Harris was sentenced last week. He'll have to serve at least 20 years and 6 months of the sentence before he is eligible for parole. He and 5 other men went into a townhome to rob a group of friends who were playing cards and video games. Whenever you see news happening, give us a call on our Newsline 9. That phone number again, 319-365-9999. You can also send in pictures, information, videos to newsroom@kcrg.com. Concerns over freezing rain from today seem to have subsided for now after Saturday's really pleasant, near perfect day out there. Meteorologist Chris Havley now joining us with the first alert forecast.
It was really nice out there. Sunshine this morning helped warm our temperatures up. We didn't see that freezing rain out there. We saw to the north some little icy conditions, but overall eastern Iowa was pretty good today. Clouds have built in now, and the rain and precipitation you see on pinpoint radar right now are really not hitting the ground. Maybe some light drizzle, but nothing more than that. Highs for this afternoon and locally on pinpoint StormNet, everyone reached the low 40s in Cedar Rapids, so a really nice day out there. But like I said, temperatures are beginning to drop out there as winds are now switching into the north and bringing in that colder air mass. Overnight planner for tonight, we'll see some patchy fog through the rest of the evening hours. Then temperatures fall down to 20 by 6 a.m. We'll see overcast skies for a good majority of the day tomorrow, but I think most of the fog chances will be gone by late morning tomorrow. But then the clouds will stick around. Maybe see a few peaks of sunshine tomorrow. We'll talk about our next chance for some frozen precipitation coming up later. Chris?
Thank you, Chris. Flags in Iowa are flying at half-mast today to honor Centerville Assistant Fire Chief Michael Cooper. The 62-year-old died hours after he was fighting a large fire at a commercial building in Centerville last month. Flags will stay at half-mast through 8 a.m. tomorrow. The United Methodist Church in Centerville held a funeral service for the firefighter who had been serving there since 1977, and they held it last night. Tomorrow, city council members are planning to consider new taxicab regulations in Iowa City. The ordinance would regulate metered and web-based taxi businesses like Uber. Officials with Uber have asked Iowa City residents to talk to the council and fight the regulations because they insist it could hurt their operations. If passed, the new regulations would require drivers to display city-issued ID cards and require cars to have recognizable color schemes, among other modifications. The city is scheduling an open house for taxi businesses on Wednesday if the measure passes. A bill focused on indoor tanning is meeting a bit of resistance. State lawmakers are working on legislation that bans minors from using tanning beds. It prevents anyone under the age of 18 from using a tanning device. State Representative Mary Masher is the sponsor of the House version of the bill. She wants it to move forward to prevent any more people from getting skin cancer, but not everyone, of course, would be on board. The owner of Total Eclipse Tanning Studio in Marin opposes the legislation and is working to fight it. He says his position against it is not because of the impact on business, but because of his role as a parent.
I think it's a complete infringement upon my personal liberties and freedoms to parent my kids the way that I want to parent.
I think sometimes we try to protect those children who don't have parents who make good decisions for them.
At the current time, there is no Iowa law restricting indoor tanning for minors. Currently, some facilities like Total Eclipse take it upon themselves to obtain signatures from parents before those younger people can get into a tanning bed. We'll have much more on this story from TV9's Jill Caspery tonight on the TV9 News at 10. In the battle to stamp out synthetic drugs in Iowa, a different approach may be considered from lawmakers. State Representative Ken Reiser of Marion has crafted a bill that would punish those who sell synthetic drugs such as K2. The Gazette's Lee Hermiston writes extensively about this issue in today's Gazette. Here's where the enforcement has been ineffective. Banning synthetic drugs based on chemical composition sounds fine until the manufacturer simply changes the makeup of what they're producing. At 10, we'll talk in depth with Lee on how this approach could be different. Donald Trump has added another trip to Iowa for his agenda in the coming months. He will give the keynote address at the Pottawatomie County GOP's Lincoln Reagan Day dinner on May 15th. Trump is already scheduled to be in Iowa for an agricultural forum next month, along with many other speculated Republican presidential candidates for 2016. Trump also spoke in Des Moines last month at the Iowa Freedom Summit. This comes after Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul spent 2 days in Iowa. That closed out yesterday with appearances in Marshalltown and then later in Ames at the Iowa State men's basketball game. Vice President Joe Biden will be visiting Des Moines this Thursday, according to the Des Moines Register. Mr. Biden will speak at Drake University as well as DMAC, where he's expected to talk about college affordability. Both men, again, are speculated in many political circles as possible candidates for their party's respective nominations for 2016. Just as the participants from the 2015 University of Iowa Dance Marathon are probably savoring a lazy Sunday, and deservedly so, as this year's event surpassed a lofty goal of $2 million, by far the largest ever. This weekend marked the 21st UI Dance Marathon, where the money raised goes to support childhood cancer research and also to help out the families that are in the middle of the battle. For 2015, the total raised was $2,001,856.21. This has been an upward trend for all these years. For some context, 2013 was the first year the dancers raised more than $1.5 million. Perhaps you remember 7 years ago when the marathon cracked $1 million. The $500,000 mark was reached back in 2001, $504,000. And the first dance marathon back in '95, when they probably danced to "This Is How We Do It," raised $31,000. In all, $16.5 million raised in 21 years. They're paid up, and now it's in ashes. A church in Coralville celebrated paying off its mortgage 3 years early this morning by lighting the document up. KCRG-TV9's Forrest Saunders was there.
This Sunday's service at the First Christian Church was different than any other. That's because this happened.
The mortgage is going up in flames today.
A $1.2 million mortgage that the church finished paying back in January, 3 years early.
Well, it's a light and airy feeling not to have the burden of debt. And because we've been working at this for 12 years now to pay it off, it feels really, really good.
Especially good seeing as the church doesn't have a massive congregation, only about 250. Church officials say their members' generosity is what got rid of the debt.
Oh, it feels great, because a lot of people are still paying on theirs, and they've been in business almost as long or longer than we have.
The church moved to this $2.1 million facility on Lincolnshire Place in 2002. On average, it was paying about $5,000 a month. Now that the church is done writing checks, that money can be used for a lot of things. Some of it deferred maintenance, but a lot will go towards the church's big goal of helping others.
Reposition ourselves in what we can do for missions and outreach and work for the community.
A better future looks to be here to stay, while this mortgage is gone in a flash. In Coralville, Forrest Saunders, KCRG-TV9 News.
Thank you, Forrest. Jess says the price of oil is still at a relative low point. Labor concerns in the U.S. as about 1,400 workers with BP go on strike, the latest in the labor turmoil within the industry. From Carver Hawkeye Arena, whoa, Iowa, my Iowa. The Hawkeye men break out a 2x4 in the Terrapins today. The full story ahead in sports. Stay with KCRG-TV9.
Live, on air, and online from your 24-hour news source. Chris Earl, meteorologist Chris Havley, and Josh Christensen Sports. This is the KCRG-TV9 News at 5:30.